What's up, everybody? Let's get going here. Let's do some magic real quick, and let's see who's gonna hop on. And we'll wait a few seconds. All right. So today we're basically gonna go over the whole thing that I was talking about yesterday in terms of like the difference between the before six figures, after six figures a month. So let's talk about that. Actually, I'm gonna go live on Instagram too. So we're going to go live on IG as well. So let's kind of get going, see who's hopping on real quick. Once again, I want to talk about the difference between the before six figures a month and then after six figures a month. So let me follow along. Let's answer some questions. There's a lot that I want to go over, so this may even be a two-part thingamajigger. But what's up, Maggie? What up, Dean? What up, everybody? We're going to see who's hopping on. We'll wait a few seconds for people to hop on. But basically, I'm going to go over what happened before the six figures a month and then after six figures a month, the lessons that I learned from everything. It's very interesting. Like when you look back in terms of, oh my goodness, I could have gotten there a lot faster if I would have just changed a few things. Like I could have hit seven figures a lot faster if only I would have done this thing. And it's so stupid. You're like, man, I don't know why I didn't do this, but it's interesting when you look back on it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then, like I said, there's quite a bit. Maybe I'll do this in a two-part series, but we'll see. What's up, Nicolos? I think that's how I say it. Nicolos. What's up, Joel? What up, Paul? What up, everybody? So like, I would always think in terms like, why don't more and more successful people write books? And when I say successful, I mean like billionaires and multimillionaires, people who are doing like 50 million and up, or even then not 50 million, more like 100 million and up. Why don't they write books? Why don't they come out with programs on success? And I've always wondered that. And I'm pretty sure it comes down to the fact that the things that make them successful are things that they don't want people to know about, or things that might make them look a little bad, so people will chastise them. Things that maybe they did something that's kind of unethical or whatever, and so people are going to chastise them. They think in a certain way that allowed them to get there. I mean, think about it. If you're in the 1%, you're a billionaire, which is more like a 0.001%. But if you're in the 1% of anything, in order to get there, you have to think in ways that other people don't. You have to go against the status quo. So with those thoughts that are against the status quo, when you tell people what those thoughts are, they're going to chastise you. This is why Peter Thiel, billionaire Peter Thiel, him and Elon Musk, they founded PayPal. If you don't know who Peter Thiel is, he wrote a book. Well, he came out with a book called 0 to 1. And in the book, he actually mentioned like most of your thoughts need to be private, because these are the thoughts that are the crazy ones. And these are the thoughts that people are going to chastise you on. And so that's why a lot of billionaires and people who are making 100 million and up, that's why they don't come out with books and tell people what it is they did to get to where they are. So obviously, I'm not at 100 million yet, but I'm going to show you what happened before doing six figures a month and then after six figures a month, and basically what I learned from that. So that's what I really want to go over today. But I do want to stress the importance of when you come across someone who's insanely successful, you need to just zip it, right? No matter what they say, whether you agree with it or not, just zip it. Do not chastise them whatsoever, because if you do, they will simply close off. And this is why, like, when I hang around a lot of friends out here, and I mean, friends are doing like 8 figures. I don't know if any of my friends are doing 9 figures yet, but like when I hang out with the friends, they say some stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, like a couple friends are like damn near close to tax evasion and all that. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like some of the stuff they say, I'm thinking, wow. But I don't say anything. I'm just like, I just listen. I just absorb it. I'm like, okay, cool. So this is what he's doing. This is what he's doing. I don't chastise them in any way, whether I agree with what they're doing or not. I simply don't. I just listen to what they say. So that's what you really want to do when you're around extremely successful people, because they will simply close off to you if you don't do that. All right. So what's up, Amani? What up, David? All right. What up, everybody? So let me get going. So one of the first things that I did when I looked back, all right, so I hit the 6 figures a month. I was like, dang, I'm the bomb, right? No, I didn't think that. Honestly, like when I hit the 6 figures a month, it didn't really register to me. I mean, it was kind of like I just hit it. I was like, okay, let's just keep going, to be honest. But when I looked back, like when I was creating content, I was looking back on it. I thought like, other than focus, because I talk a lot about focus, you got to stay focused, like have this tunnel vision. That's important. But other than that, what are the important aspects that I learned? And this is probably the most important thing other than focus. And it's very simple. You have to stop caring about what other people think of you. I can't stress that enough. Stop caring about what people think of you. This is obviously easier said than done. I mean, it's one of those things where a lot of people think that they don't care what other people think of them until they're in the moment when other people think of them. Then they're like, oh no, please don't think of that of me, right? And so it's one of those things where I can't stress this enough. You have to stop caring about what people think of you. And this happened to me accidentally. So back, in college, what happened was I was playing basketball. Not like for the college, but I was in college and I was playing basketball, and I could have probably destroyed some of the college players anyways. But basically, I was playing basketball and I was running for the ball, and I stopped real quick, and then like my knee turned one way, my thigh turned the other way, and I tore my ACL. Man, it hurt like crazy. I tore my ACL. It was a full ACL tear, partial MCL tear. It hurt like crazy. So I had to have surgery. So I went, had surgery, however long that took, whatever. I had surgery. And then after surgery, they put you on this machine where it moves your leg like 24/7 like this. It moves your knee just up and down. And it goes 24/7. So you're in bed rest. So after you have the surgery, I mean, I had the surgery and I was up and out of there. You're walking like instantly out of the surgery, but you still have to have bed rest. And they put you on this machine just like this. And it's just so your joints or your knee doesn't like stiff up or whatever. So my leg is going like this the entire time. And then they put me on Vicodin and Oxycontin. They gave me those two pain pills. Now, I knew what Oxycontin did to people. I mean, I heard about Oxycontin and everyone's getting addicted to it because it feels so good. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to take Oxycontin. I just had it sitting there, right? Vicodin, I thought the same thing. Like, I don't think it's as strong as Oxycontin, but still I was like, I don't want to get hooked on Vicodin. So I just started taking ibuprofen if I experienced some pain, right? So at a certain point, what happened was as my leg was doing this, there was like a quick amount of pain that just shot all the way from my foot straight to like my head, just like in an instant, like half a second, if that. It was so quick, but it was so painful. I was like, oh my goodness. And so I opened up the Vicodin, popped a pill of Vicodin, and something happened with the pill. I don't know if I had an allergic reaction to it or what, but all of a sudden my throat started like slowly closing up. And so it was like getting a little hard to breathe. And I was like, huh. And so I called my mom up because my mom was downstairs. I was like, Mom, I was like, this is kind of harder to breathe. And so I took a sip of water, right? And so I had to like literally like swallow hard for the water. I was like, and so I was like, yeah, call 911, because my mom was like, should I call 911? Should I call? I'm like, yeah, call. And so like I'm trying not to freak out because my throat was like slowly closing, and it's like getting harder and harder to breathe at this point. And so as soon as the EMTs get there, like literally just I hear the doorbell, and then bam, my throat just closed up. And at that point, I've never been so terrified in my life, like absolutely never. It was one of those moments where I'm thinking, I can't die like this. What the heck? Am I seriously going to die? Like, I'm still in college, right? I'm like, there's no way I can freaking die with this stupid thing. So my throat closed up. The EMT's upstairs. I'm sitting there just like, I'm thinking they're going to have to do that trachea thing where they cut your throat and stuff. And then that's what I'm thinking. And so I'm like that. And the EMT, I'm freaking out. My mom's freaking out. And the EMT, he's like, he bends down. He's like, can you tell me what's wrong? Can you tell me what happened? And now anyone who knows that someone's choking, when you're actually choking, you can't speak. So like when people are like, oh, I'm choking, I can't breathe, that means they can breathe. On the other hand, if you're like, that means you're really choking. So, and that's how I was. I was like, and so he's like, can you tell me what happened? Just tell me what happened. Mom was like, oh my God, it's still something. And I'm like, and I'm thinking like, why is this dude not doing anything? Like, obviously I can't freaking breathe. My throat is shut closed. And I'm thinking like, dude, whatever that's called, trachea thing or whatever. I'm like, freaking cut my throat open so I can breathe, because I'm thinking I don't want to die. And so after a little bit though, my throat just slowly started opening back up, and I could obviously breathe again. Obviously I didn't die, right? And I mean, he was calm as all hell. I mean, I'm sure they're trained to be that way. But at that moment, I mean, I thought I was going to die. Like, I seriously thought I was going to die. And that was one of the first moments where I realized I stopped caring about what people think of me, simply because I keep thinking whenever something pops up and whenever I'm like, oh my goodness, like you get embarrassed about something or anything happens where you're wondering what people are thinking of you, I simply think, if I were to die in a week from now, would I care? Like, would I care? That's literally what pops into my brain. Would I care? If I'm embarrassed about something, whatever, would I care if I were to die in a week from now? And even, let's say, 100 years from now, right? So maybe you say in a week from now, that's not realistic. But in 100 years from now, I guarantee everybody watching this is going to be dead. So no matter what happens in 100 years from now, are you going to care? You're going to be dead. You won't care. In 200 years from now, are you going to care? You're going to be dead. You will not care. So you have to start thinking in terms of like, I literally do not care what you think of me. Absolutely zero. I do not care what you think of me. And so that moment combined with a different moment, I don't want to go into the other moment, but it was like a home invasion type thing. That was pretty scary too. But basically, every single time that I almost get to a point where I care what people think of me, I think of those moments. I think of the moments where I almost died, and I think of the moment in 200 years from now. Is anyone going to care? Nobody's going to care about that moment when you're embarrassed and you spilled some water on yourself, you tripped down a flight of stairs or whatever. People are going to laugh at that moment, but nobody's going to really care. And so you have to get to that level where you literally do not care what people think of you. And so with this, I thought in terms of the don't care, I got some notes here, by the way. I thought, like, no matter what you do, someone's not going to like you. No matter what you do, you can be the nicest person in the world. People are going to be like, that dude's too nice. He's fake. No matter what you do, someone's going to not like you. And so this happened like when I would create content, right? So when I first started the online portion, anyone who knows me, all my friends who know me, they know that I'm very sarcastic and I say ridiculous stuff. I mean, stuff that I wouldn't really say to, I wouldn't really just say like to anyone else, but to my friends, right? But I'm insanely sarcastic, and I started doing this stuff online as well. So things like, oh, I'm filming a video. You need a really good-looking face in the video, like mine. And so I say stuff like that to my friends and all that, and I would say stuff like that on camera, and I would write that stuff in the emails as well. So one of the first emails that speakers get is I say, hey, do you know who Tony Robbins is? Okay, cool. He has nothing to do with this email. And then I go in and I just talk about all the other stuff. I thought it was hilarious. And so a lot of other people did too, but then there are some people who are like, that's not funny. I don't know why you think you're funny. That's not funny. And so no matter what you do, somebody's gonna not like you, and you simply do not care. You want to be like Captain America, all right? So Captain America, the superhero Captain America, he doesn't care what people think of him. He just does what he thinks is right. That's it. That's all you do. You don't care what people think of you. You just do what you think is right. That's it. Be Captain America. Go watch the Avengers. Be Captain America. That's essentially how you want to think. Because no matter what you do when you're creating content or whatever, of course you want to pay attention to how people respond. So it's not like you're just ignoring, it's not like you're ignoring feedback. Like, you don't ignore feedback. You simply don't care what people think of you. There's a huge difference, right? And so when you get feedback, you simply adjust what you do to improve. But in terms of the whole people like not caring about what people think of you, that just gives you power to just be more of who you are, right? So that's one of the biggest things that I had to learn to do. And that's one of the biggest things you should really do. It's one of those things that's easier said than done. So that was the first thing. The other thing is running off your own fuel. So before the 6 figures a month and then after, I noticed that you have to get to a point where you are running off your own fuel. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning of anything you do, nobody pays attention to you. Absolutely nobody. And I told a friend this when he was trying to build like his brand and he was like trying to put out content. And I said, here's what's going to happen. I was like, you're going to create content. You're going to put all this time into creating content, all this time into doing whatever. nobody's going to pay attention to you. Nobody's going to watch the video. Very few people are going to like it. Like only friends and family are going to click like on the video. Nobody's going to care. And I said, that's what's going to happen for a minimum of a year, And it's probably going to be longer. And so because of that, you have to run off your own fuel. You have to create content or do outreach, send cold emails, cold calls, or whatever. You have to do that despite not getting any feedback. Because what happens is, let's say let's say you have a podcast, right? A podcast. Let's say you're doing a YouTube video. You're trying to build up your YouTube channel. And so with the YouTube channel, you get direct feedback. You see the likes, you see how much watch time the video has, you see subscribers, you get like direct feedback, right? But in the beginning, you're not going to get any of that. Nobody's going to pay attention to you. And so what happens is you see that, you put all this time, all this effort into creating something, you post it, you're like, this thing's amazing, what? And then all of a sudden you wait and you're like, 2 likes, 0 views, And that's what happens. And that's what happens like consistently, right? So you put out the one video, you're like, okay, well, you know what? I got to persist. Everyone says persist. So let me keep going, right? So you put out another video and then no one pays attention to that. And another one, no one pays attention to it. And eventually you get demotivated because you're not getting any feedback. You're not getting the feedback that you expected. So you get demotivated. So this is why you have to run off your own fuel. You have to get to a point where you're putting it out and you understand it's going to take like 5 years from now. And speaking of that, like there was another friend that I have. He actually said that, which I thought was great. He was like, Benji, I'm going to start producing a lot of content and I want to start building it. And I understand it's going to take about 5 years. And I was like, oh, dang, like that's the first time I've ever heard anyone ever say something like that. Usually people think it's going to take a month max, right? And that's the first time I ever heard that. But it doesn't surprise me because he already built a 7-figure business doing something else. So it didn't surprise me that much. But still, you got to run off your own fuel because nobody's going to pay attention to you at first. All right. And so for those of you wondering, like, do I have a permit? The answer is yes. Yes, I have a permit for these guns. Yeah. All right. I cracked myself up. So that was the first 2 things. So 1, you have to care less about what people think of you, and 2, you have to run off your own fuel. The next thing that I understood was you have to have less emotional reactions, right? So whenever you are doing anything, you're going to react emotionally to it. And this, I mean emotional reactions to other people. So let's say a perfect example actually is the online business, right? So if you start an online portion of your business, what's going to happen are a few things. People are going to ask for like refunds and they're going to commit bank fraud actually. Not only ask for a refund, some people won't even ask for a refund. They'll just commit bank fraud. They'll literally go to their bank like, I didn't purchase that thing. And they'll literally commit bank fraud. And so when this first happened to me, I was honestly pissed off. I was like, I just gave you all this stuff. I talked to you on the phone and everything, and you're freaking going to your bank acting like we didn't. I was pissed. I was like, I was ready to go all devil on them. I was ready to send some assassins to their door, man. I was pissed off. And so what happens in the beginning when something like that happens, you have to have less of an emotional reaction to things. And this goes with everything. It goes with how you accept criticism, all of it, like everything. You have to have less of an emotional reaction to things. And so like positive, negative criticism, right? I think it's stupid as all hell. When people say, oh, you need to give positive criticism. I'm like, I don't care about positive, negative. I don't care. Fix this. I don't care, right? You need to get to a point where it doesn't matter if someone talks in a positive way or in a negative way. As long as they tell you, here's the thing that you need to fix, that's what you pay attention to. That's it. It doesn't matter if they say, oh man, you know what? Your poker game sucks. Like, dude, I mean, when that flop hits, every time the turn hits, like you're like a wuss, like you're scared. I mean, someone bets and you're freaking scared. You need to just call. Like, what's wrong with you, right? With most people, they'll shut down. They'll close off. They'll be like, oh, I don't like the way you said that to me. Oh, I don't like the way you said that to me. And so they'll close off, and you have to get to a point where you have less of an emotional reaction to things. You want to develop a thick skin. So whenever you're doing anything, develop a thick skin, because the more money you make, the more you're going to deal with people who are absolutely ruthless. I mean, hands down, ruthless. And you're going to see things like little things in terms of people who buy your program. And let's say you do like a 30-day money back guarantee. People are going to literally ask for a refund on day 29. Like it's stuff like that. You're going to have like an emotional reaction to it. And so you just have to have less of an emotional reaction to everything, no matter what, right? So that's a huge thing. So we got that. The other one that I want to talk about. All right, what's up? What's up, Ari? What's up, Clarence? What's up, Rosany? I think I said that right. Vicky, what up, everybody? All right. The other thing is you absolutely have to sacrifice. So before doing the 6 figures a month and then after, it wasn't that hard for me simply because I never actually had a job. So like all I actually did was in the beginning, I would just perform, right? I would just perform at restaurants and like over and over, I'd just go door to door, like restaurant to restaurant. And I would ask if I can perform there. And so that's all I really did. I didn't actually have a job or anything like that. If you have a job, if you have kids or anything like that, then you have to realize that you have to sacrifice. And I remember talking with a friend, and the friend, like he wanted to build a business and stuff. And I was telling him like exactly what he needed to do. And I think it was like 2 weeks later, I was like, hey man, so how's it going? Like, did you get the website up? Like what's going on? He's like, oh no, I didn't get it up. And no, I mean, I just got all this other stuff to do. You know, I mean, I work, right? And I'm not like you. I can't do this 24/7. I'm like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden a week later, like, hey, so what'd you get done? Did you get the website up? Did you get the video up? What'd you do? He's like, nah, man. I mean, I got this. I mean, I got to do it. I got a lot of errands to run and all that. And so he wasn't willing to sacrifice. He wasn't willing to say, you know what, when I get home, I understand I'm going to be tired, but I'm going to do it anyways. I understand that I have kids, but, you know, I got to tell the kids, look, don't bother mommy, don't bother daddy for an hour because mommy, daddy has to work on something for an hour. Something in your life has to change. And people understand this intellectually. They just don't do it in reality. People understand something has to change. They just don't change. It absolutely amazes me when people say things like, oh yeah, I'm going to start building my brand. I just got to do a couple things first. I got to run a couple errands. I've got things I got to do for this entire month. I'm like, what the hell are you doing for an entire month? Like, nobody has that many damn errands to run. What in the world type of errands do you have to run? I mean, it absolutely blows my mind when people say, oh, I'm busy, I've got errands to run. I'm like, I have 0 errands to run. I mean, the only errands that I have to run is going to get groceries. And as soon as freaking Amazon or Walmart starts delivering everything, man, I'll be the happiest person in the world, right? When people say things like, I've got errands to run, I'm like, errands? What do you have to do? Like, okay, you go get a haircut. What else other than that? Haircut, groceries, what are errands? You have to understand that you got to sacrifice, that other people, that they're going to go out, have a good time in Vegas, whatever. They're going to go out, have a great time, right? They're going to go to the club. They're going to go do whatever. They're going to go to this house party, go network or whatever. You have to sacrifice that. You have to say, I simply can't. I have to go and work on this video. I have to go make cold calls. I have to send cold emails. You absolutely have to sacrifice. And this, I remember watching a video with Floyd Mayweather, and he was talking about like the difference between him and everyone else. He was like, you know, I made a decision a long time ago to sacrifice my life and to commit it to boxing. He's like, that's what he did. He's like, I sacrificed everything and simply committed to boxing, right? And that's what you have to do. You have to, when you sacrifice, you just give up everything. And who was it? Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson, he did the same thing. Mike Tyson sacrificed sex. He was like, I'm not going to have sex. He didn't have sex, I think, with a woman with a woman or man for like, I think it was like 10 years or something for the longest time. Like he didn't like have sex or something just because he thought it was going to interfere with his boxing. And so at a certain point, you may not want to sacrifice that, but just saying, but you do have to sacrifice. If you want something different in your life, you simply have to sacrifice what you already have in your life. It doesn't matter what you're doing right now. There's something that you have to get rid of. Now, there are certain things you can't. Like, you can't get rid of your kids, right? I mean, technically you can, but then you'd be a pretty bad parent. But you can't sacrifice certain things like that. But there are a lot of things that you do have to sacrifice. Like let's say the groceries, right? So for example, groceries, you absolutely have to go get groceries. But what you can do instead, you can order most of it on Amazon, and then you can go real quick, go get groceries like fish, chicken, or whatever, things like that you can't get on Amazon. Go get those at the grocery store and do that in 30 minutes. Just go there real quick, bam, go get it, and you're good to go instead of spending 2 hours at the grocery store. Or for example, like lunch, right? So you go and instead of having an hour, 90-minute lunch, you go and you get your lunch and you eat while you're actually working on stuff. You have to sacrifice something in your life to get the things that you want, right? Let's see what's popping up here. He said, yes, when I had my... what's this? He said, yes, when I had my food manufacturing business, at least 12 people told me they wanted to sue me, but nothing happened because I dealt with everyone smartly. Yep. Yeah, so let's see. Then we got, yes, people have to be more thick-skinned. Yeah, oh man, so yeah, definitely. Thick-skinned only when we can take criticism and improve based on the feedback. Yeah, the thick skin, man. I mean, that's a big one. You definitely got to have some thick skin when you're building a business. Like, especially like the bigger you get, the thicker your skin has to get. Okay. Said, yes, it's important enough for you. You will make it happen no matter how much. Yeah, I mean, the whole sacrifice thing, I can't stress that enough. Like, it blows my mind when people say, I want to do this or that, and then they just don't sacrifice to get it. It blows my mind. And I was telling a friend this. I was like, look, man, I was like, you're making so many excuses about why you can't do this thing. And I was like, it's not a priority to you. He's like, yeah, that's exactly right. It's not a priority to me. I said, yeah, and that's the difference. I was like, that's the difference between me and you. I was like, to me, nothing else is a priority other than growing my business. It's simply not. It's like, all right, family and business. Like, anything else, you're not a priority to me. And so, like, because he was talking about all these things that he had to do, and I was like, you don't have to do any of that stuff, right? And so, if you're not willing to sacrifice, then you just won't get what you want. You have to create the priorities. You have to say, all right, priority number 1, family. Priority number 2, business. Priority number 3, there is no number 3. So that's literally what you have to do. You have to sacrifice, right? You say people have the time, money to do things that they really want to do. Wait, what? Was there a different part to that? You said people have the time and the money to do the things that they really want to do. Yeah, so, and by the way, so this is one of the, make sure you don't get trapped into this. And actually, yeah, that is the next thing I want to talk about is resourcefulness, okay? So the other thing that I want to mention is before someone tends to make 6 figures a month, and then after, the before is everything is like an excuse. Like, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the looks like Benji Bruce or whatever. So it's like before, there's all these excuses. After, you're like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, there's all these stupid excuses that I came up with. If I just would have realized like they were dumb excuses, then I could have gotten rid of it. You have to be insanely resourceful. Just read biographies by guys or about guys like P.T. Barnum and just about guys. And actually, no, even better. Read biographies or hear about stories about con men, about con artists. You will see how resourceful they are. It's absolutely insane and absolutely amazing. A con artist can go from they literally have no money to just figuring out how to get the money. Like, it is absolutely insane. There's this book that I'm reading right now called $1 Billion Whale. And this book, it talks about this guy who created one of the biggest con artist schemes ever, like ever. And in the beginning, he didn't have any money. He simply created the perception that he had money. Then he got banks to eventually loan him money. And that's how he started like growing and basically conning everybody. He just started getting loans and everything. And eventually he went from literally having no money to he has a gang load of money, technically all loans, all debt, but I haven't finished the book, but basically he figured out how to get the money. So there's a difference between I don't have the money, oh my goodness, I'm not going to do anything, versus I don't have the money, how do I get it? That's what guys like P.T. Barnum did. P.T. Barnum literally didn't have the money. He's like, I don't have any money. Like, I got this idea, but I don't have any money. And what he did is he figured out how to get the money. You always see the difference between people who are resourceful and everybody else. And resourcefulness is huge. And it's just a shift in how you think. Like, I remember a long time ago when it was almost like a weird, I felt like I was getting, I mean, not set up, but I felt like it was like they coordinated it or something. So I got one email from this mom where she said, she's like, hey, Benji, I'd love to invest in your program, but I have 2 kids. So, I mean, I just can't. Like, I just can't. I mean, I'd love to invest. I just can't make it work. And then all of a sudden, literally like a couple hours later, I get an email from another mom. She says, Benji, I have 3 kids and I'd love to invest in your program. And that's why I have to make it happen, because I have 3 kids. Like, I have to make this work because I have 3 kids. So that's what she said. The other one was like, oh, I can't make it work because I have kids. And she said, oh, I have to make it work because I have kids. Little things like that. That's the same with resourcefulness. One person says, I don't have the money. The other person says, oh, I got to figure out how to get the money. You have to be resourceful in everything you do. If you don't have the money, you get it. And this is what I tell a lot of people inside of our program. I say, figure it out. Like, the superpower of an entrepreneur is figuring it out. That's your superpower. If you expect everyone to give things to you, to give you the answers, you are screwed. You're absolutely screwed as an entrepreneur. I guarantee it 100%. Because the bigger you get, the more problems you're going to have in your business. And these are going to be problems that will not have answers. They simply won't. Just because they're problems specific to you, they're bigger problems, they just won't have answers. So you have to be insanely resourceful. I mean, think about, I don't know, like let's say like Elon Musk, right? So Elon Musk, he's been put in plenty of situations where there are no answers. Like, he can't just go read a book. He can't go hire a mentor. There are no answers to the problems that he's facing. But he's insanely resourceful. He's like, you know what? Let me just figure this thing out. That's how entrepreneurs really work. If you are the type of person who just says, oh, here's my problem. Oh, my goodness. Oh, no, oh, me. Oh. If you're that type of entrepreneur, you simply will not make it. Like, you simply can't. The superpower of an entrepreneur is figuring things out. And you have to get to that moment. Excuses destroy your life. That's what it comes down to. Excuses destroy your life. Every reason you come up with why you don't have something, why you can't do something, is a reason. It's why you are where you are. And so that's why you have to get to a point where all of these excuses and reasons for why you can't do something, you have to just ignore it. It's like, oh, I don't have the money. Okay, let me figure it out. Oh, I don't have the time. Let me figure out how to make time. Oh, I don't have this. Let me figure out how to get it, right? You have to simply get to that point, because the more money you make, the more problems you're going to have. Like, more money, more problems. It's really true. So the more problems you're going to have, and you have to get to the point where you have trained your brain to see the problem and to figure out solutions. Most people, they see the problem, they're like, oh, dang it, oh my goodness, what? And they don't even think about a solution. They're not even trying to think of one. It's absolutely insane, right? And so you have to get to that level. All right, so there's let's see, just a couple more things I want to talk about. The other one, this is actually a quote, right? So this is a quote by Johann Wolfgang Von Goethe. I don't know how to say his last name. So the quote goes like this: until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness concerning all acts of initiative and creation. The next thing I want to talk about is commitment, right? Commit. Before I hit the 6 figures a month thing, and then afterwards, I thought I was committed, to be honest. Like, I absolutely thought I was committed before hitting the 6 figures a month. I mean, I don't think anyone truly thinks they're not committed. Like, especially when they really start doing it, you're like, oh, I'm committed. I'm absolutely committed, right? I don't think anyone thinks they're not committed. And so I absolutely thought I was committed. I mean, so when I was 13, I was performing in restaurants. When I was 15, I actually started getting more restaurants. So I was like going door to door or restaurant to restaurant. I literally took a bus because I wasn't driving at the time. or no, I think I was 14 when I was doing it. So I like wasn't driving, because when I was 15, I was driving actually. So when I was 14, I literally would go on a bus, and I would actually go to every restaurant, and I'd be like, hey, can I talk to the GM? Yes, I'm an illusionist, and I'd love to perform inside the restaurant. And I'd try to pitch myself, right? Most of them said no. And I was like, oh, forget you then, fine. But I thought I was committed because of things like that. I'm like, well, you got to be committed to hop on a bus and all that. But when you actually get committed, what happens is like blinders just, it's like these blinders just get on you. It's like tunnel vision, like insane tunnel vision. This is one of the reasons why when people send me an email and they say, do you do like a 30-day money back guarantee with your big program? Like, it's a lot of money. Like, do you do a 30-day money back guarantee? I say, no. Absolutely not. That is a guaranteed way for you to fail, because if you have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you simply won't do enough to get what you want. You're going to come up with excuses. You're going to be like, I don't like the way he talks. I don't like that he wears purple all the time. Like, you're going to come up with something that's going to allow you to draw back, to hesitate, something that's going to allow you to say like, oh, you got the 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're like, I don't know. I mean, should I do it? And the reason why commitment is so important is because it's inevitable that you're going to get frustrated. No matter what you do, you will get frustrated, 100% frustrated. You're going to, let's say you're building your online business and you have to build a sales funnel. And let's say you don't really know much about technology, right? So you're going to go in, you're going to start working on this technology stuff. You're going to be like, all right, let me do this thing. All right, they say this thing is easy. Let me go build an opt-in page. Oh, what the heck? Oh, this is stupid. Oh, and you're going to like, that's what's going to happen. Like it's inevitable that you're going to get frustrated. If you're doing cold call and cold email, you're going to be like, all right, you're sending cold emails or whatever. Nobody's going to answer. You're like, this is stupid. This ain't working. Whatever. And that's what's going to happen. You will get frustrated. And if you're not committed, you're going to stop at that frustration. So as soon as you're frustrated, you're going to be like, you're going to do something like that. Whatever. And you're just going to walk off. Like, forget this stuff. It doesn't work. And that's what's going to happen. You will get frustrated. All right. And so when you commit, though, you will get frustrated. You'll just keep going anyways. Right. It's not that extremely successful people don't get frustrated. If anything, they get more frustrated than you, hands down. It is just that they keep going. You get used to the frustration. You're so committed, you just do not care how frustrated you get. You don't care how hard it is. You are absolutely committed. And the best way I can describe this to people is, imagine if someone in your family got kidnapped. Like, someone in your family got kidnapped, and the kidnapper says, in order for you to get your family back, you got to make $1 million in 2 years. And think about how committed you would be to accomplish the thing that you want to accomplish. I mean, whatever you're doing, you would sacrifice, you would commit, you wouldn't care about what people think of you. You'd be insanely resourceful. You would do all these things, right? All because you committed. Like the decision in your brain is like, I have to do this. I absolutely have to. People are like, hey, let's go out. No, I ain't got time for that. Hey, no, I ain't got time for that. And you will absolutely be committed to this thing. When the frustration happens, you're like, and you're ready to break stuff. When it happens, you're like, oh my goodness, my family's going to die if I don't make $1 million in 2 years. You will absolutely keep going no matter what. That's why you have to be committed. That's why, let me say the quote again, where he says, until one is committed, there's hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness concerning all acts of initiative and creation. You have to be committed, and it's a mental commitment. It's not like you don't have to quit your job. I mean, that'd be dumb. Like if your job is how you make money, right? It'd be dumb for you to quit your job. But you have to commit to, let's say you're like, okay, when I get home at 5:30 p.m., normally I sit down, I rest, and I cook or whatever. You have to say, all right, I'm gonna commit to actually working for an hour on this thing before I do everything else. And with a commitment, you sacrifice everything else. So with the commitment, you say, I know I'm tired when I get home, but I'm going to commit to this thing. You commit, and then you literally do it anyways, no matter what comes up. You just commit to it. I can't stress that enough. And this is like one of the reasons when people email me and say like, hey, what's this? What about like a money back guarantee or whatever? I'm like, dude, that is how you are guaranteed to fail. Because I absolutely know how hard it's going to be and how long it's going to take to get what you want. And this is with anything you do. It's going to be hard and it's going to take a lot longer than you thought it was going to take. And unless you're committed, like you're going to quit, you're going to give up. And so like you're going to realize, oh, wow, this is harder than I thought. Let me just stop. Or, oh, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. Let me just stop. And people who are committed, they just don't care. They're like, I don't care how hard it is, how long it's going to take. I have to do this thing. I absolutely have to. Right. So just keep that in mind. And then the other thing I want to talk about in terms of before six figures and then after six figures is you want to talk less and do more. Okay. There's so many people who, when I say here's what you need to do, like you need to fix your website or do a lot of outreach or whatever, they're like, I know that. I'm like, I don't care what you know. I honestly don't care what you know. Your website sucks. Improve your website. Stop saying you should improve your website. Talk to me when you've improved your website. Stop saying you can do Facebook ads. Talk to me when you're doing Facebook ads. Stop saying that you should actually create content. Start talking to me when you create some damn content. You got to get to a point where you talk less and do more. And so, of course, you can talk. All right, so I'm creating content right now. I'm talking, right? I'm talking at this point, but I am doing this. I am creating content for the purpose of growing the business. I'm not talking just to talk, right? I'm not here just talking for no reason. If you don't get to a point where you talk less and do more, then you're simply going to struggle with everything, because you're going to sit there and you're always going to have this I know. You're like, I know I should do that. Oh yeah. I know I should I know I should be creating some podcasts. Oh yeah. I know I can do some cold emails. Yeah. I know I can create my website. Yeah. I know. What else? And that's what people do. That's how you can easily tell the difference. People are like, yeah, I know I should do this, but then that's it. That's where it stops. You want to get to a point where you talk less and do more. All right. And then the last thing I want to mention is you want to be impatient. So it's like you want to be impatient with your level of activities and patient with the results. So you're impatient with how fast you move, but you're very patient with expecting the results to come in. So you always want to think, I got to go, like move fast. This is where the Mark Zuckerberg, where he was like, move fast and break things. You want to be very impatient about your level of activities. And you'll hear about this all the time with extremely successful people, to where it's almost like the more successful someone is, it's almost like they have ADD, right? It's not that they have ADD. They're just like, I'm moving fast. You can't keep up. Like, you're just too slow for me, right? And that's why a lot of like billionaires, and especially billionaires, they come across as really rude just because they're like, you're wasting my time. Like you're simply wasting my time. And this is why I tell people, like, when you're pitching someone, you don't want to do like freaking 5 paragraphs, especially like in an email pitch, because they're scrolling forever. You're wasting their time. So you want to get to a point where you are impatient with your level of activities. And what's going to happen when you're very impatient is people are going to say this to you, like, dude, slow down, man. You're always impatient. Yeah. I'm impatient. Like, of course, that's why I get so much done. And so you're very impatient with your level of activities, but you're very patient with the results of those activities. So let's say it's like in the beginning, right? In the beginning, all I did, and like, I kid you not, I wish I would have recorded this. Maybe I'll even have my friend talk about this, because in the beginning, I used to live with my friend and his wife, and they only charged me like $300 for rent, right? And so what I did is I was like, okay, since I'm living here, $300, pretty cheap for rent. What I did is I'd wake up in the morning, and for the entire day, all I did was send out cold emails. All I did. I was very impatient about them. Just like, I would try to go faster. I'm like, how do I do this faster, right? And so all I did was send out cold emails, minimum of 100 a day. I didn't expect to get hired instantly. I didn't expect to get hired in a week, 2 weeks. I didn't expect to get hired that fast. So I was very impatient with the level of activity I engaged in. I sent out a minimum of 100 emails a day, but I was very patient with the results in terms of how they came to me. Eventually it picked up. Eventually people started saying, oh yeah, we're interested. Like, what do you charge? Eventually that's what happened. But if you're essentially, here's, most people do it in reverse. Okay. So most people are impatient with the results that they want to get, and they're very patient with the level of activities they engage in. So basically, instead of sending 100 emails a day, they send out 5 or 10 emails a day. And then in a week, they're like, why is this not working? Why am I not getting any business? That's what actually happens. And people are flabbergasted by why they don't have results. I remember seeing a YouTube comment on one of my videos where I talked about cold emailing. And the guy was like, Benji, cold emailing doesn't work. I sent out 4 emails this month and nobody responded. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. 4 emails in a month and you wondered why people didn't respond to you? Get out of here with that crap. I mean, that absolutely amazed me. I was like, is he just joking with me? I literally thought he's got to be joking. You have to get to a point where you're so impatient with your level of activities that you're like in go mode. You wake up, you're like, go, 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 go. And you're always in go mode, but you're very patient. You're like, you expect the results. Eventually the results are going to come, but you don't expect them that fast, right? Most people, they flip it. They're like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to do a lot of work. Let me send out a couple emails a day. Let me create a few videos or whatever. Let me do that a little bit. And then they expect to freaking be Mark Cuban and Warren Buffett like instantly, right? It just flat out amazes me. So you want to be very impatient. Be very, 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 very impatient to a point where people literally think you have ADD. Like that's just where you want to get to a point where people think you have ADD. Now, I know I did say that was the last thing I want to talk about, but I actually do want to talk about one other thing. This is what I call delusional practicality. Delusional practicality, you basically want to live in a dual reality type of world. A dual reality basically means, he said, what if you value balancing being and doing as both important? Balancing being and doing as both important, okay? So I understand being impatient with actions and impatient with results, though I assume you meant what if too much doing puts my nervous system in overload and I cannot maintain my health. All right, so once again, Joy, based on what you say, you got to think everything that you said was an excuse. So you have to understand that you get to a point where everything that you say is an excuse for why you're not where you are, okay? Whether it's real or not. So it's like when someone says, I don't have the money, it can be 100% real, like 100% true that they do not have the money, 100% real. But you got to understand that excuse is why you are where you are, okay? Whether it's I don't have the money, whatever it is. So when you say like doing too much, puts your nervous system in overload and you can't maintain your health, that is why you are where you are, all right? I know that if you work out more, like if you're doing a lot of cardio, you get so much more energy to actually go into overdrive to accomplish what you want. And so this is why like a lot of like marathon runners, you'll see marathon runners, I mean, they are insanely energetic people. The people who go to the gym a lot, they're really energetic. And so you just have to understand that everything that's going on, every reason for why you can't do something is why you're not doing it. I mean, that sounds basic, but it is true. Every reason for why you can't go into overload, into overdrive and be impatient, every reason for why you can't do that, that is why you're not doing it, all right? You have to flip it. You have to say, you just have to flip it. I don't care what people say about, it's not about working hard, it's about working smart. You got to do both, all right? You got to work hard and you got to work smart. No successful person will ever tell you that they did not work hard. And anyone who says they didn't work hard, it's just because their hard work is up here, right? And most people who says they work hard, they're way down here. And the successful person who's like, I didn't really work that hard. They just didn't realize it. Like to them, working 12 hours a day wasn't really hard work. It was just like they were just doing it 12, 16 hours a day. It was just natural to them. They were just doing it. And that's why they're saying, I didn't really work hard, right? But you have to work hard to get what you want. You have to go into overdrive. That's just a fact, because I keep telling people, like, you don't realize how far behind you are from getting what you want. You don't realize how long it's going to take to get what you want. You don't realize how hard it's going to be to get what you want, which is why you go so fast to get there. Okay. And if there's any reason as to why you're not going fast, It's just going to take you longer. And I tell people this, I'm like, look, gravity doesn't care if you believe in it or not. Now, what do I mean by that? Gravity doesn't care if you believe in it or not. If, let's say, you have to do, let's say $0, let's say you're making $0 doing something. In order to make $1 million, let's say there's 100 things that you have to do. Obviously, there's more, but let's say there's 100 things you have to do. Gravity doesn't care if you believe in it or not. So if there are 100 things that you have to do to get to 1 million, I mean, it simply doesn't matter whether or not you have excuses in terms of why you can move or why you can't move. It simply doesn't matter what your excuses are. Are you doing the things to get there or are you not? That's what I mean by gravity doesn't care if you believe in it or not. It's a matter of, are you doing the things or not? If you're not doing them, you simply won't get what you want. That's what it comes down to. If you don't do it, you won't get it. That's all it comes down to, okay? And so that's why, like, I tell people, I don't care if your excuse is real. If you don't do it, you won't get it. This isn't no law of attraction BS, okay? Law of attraction, it's absolute trash. Hands down, absolute trash. I don't care what you believe. It's hands down, absolute trash. These guys are taking quantum physics, turn it into pseudoscience. Any quantum physicist, a real quantum physicist, will tell you, guys like, I don't want to name names, but any quantum physicist will tell you that all these guys, these self-help gurus who use quantum physics to say if you just believe in it, it's going to happen. Real quantum physicists will tell you that's absolute trash. They're like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. The guy Richard Feynman, he's dead now, but he was like the top expert in quantum physics. And he was like, look, nobody understands quantum physics. Absolutely nobody. If Richard Feynman, the guy who won a Nobel Prize in quantum physics, doesn't understand quantum physics, how in the world could a self-help guru who reads a couple books every now and again tell you, here's what quantum physics says about reality? It's stupid, right? And so you simply have to think in terms of being insanely practical. You have to say, am I doing this thing in order to get this thing? That's it. You just have to be insanely practical, not about like positive, negative, none of that stuff, just insanely practical. If I jump off of a building, I'm going to fall down. That's how practical you have to get. You have to say, if I do this, if I cold email, I'm going to get responses and I'll get business. That's it. It's not about whether you're positive or negative. A depressed person, someone who's insanely depressed, ready to commit suicide this very second, if they send out cold emails, they're going to get a response. Someone who's insanely happy, freaking Dalai Lama, if he sends out cold emails, he's going to get a response. It doesn't matter if you're happy, depressed. It doesn't matter. You either do or do not. Who Yoda said that. Do or do not. There is no try. That's the level you have to get to, an insanely pragmatic level. And you want to essentially combine the two. I want to kind of go back where I said delusional practicality, to where you're delusional in terms of what you want. This is where you can dream big, have the big goals, have the big mission. You dream big. You're delusional in terms of what you want, but you're practical in terms of how you get it. You're like, here's what I want. I want to make $1 million. Then you get practical. You're not going to make $1 million sitting there creating a vision board. That's not how you're going to make $1 million. You're going to make $1 million by actually doing stuff that's going to get you to $1 million, by doing cold calls, cold emails, creating content, whatever it is going to get you to that $1 million. That's how you're going to do it, right? So you got to have the delusional practicality of here's what I want, here's what I'm going to do to get it. That's the level that you want to be in. All right, so let's see. Being on the edge of our comfort zone is where the most successful people like Benji are. That is why he will be $1 billion man. Yeah, that's why I got the self-image, the billionaire Bruce. That's my other identity, billionaire Bruce. I need to really come out with a thing on that and tell you guys why and the whole psychology behind that. So he said, dang, man, I'm bald, and I was hoping the law of attraction would help my hair follicles back in life. Yeah, man. I mean, hey, law of attraction, I mean, all you got to do is just sit there and just create a vision board. Here's what you want to do, right? If you're bald and you want to grow some hair, create a vision board where you see all these people with nice hair, like George Clooney and Brad Pitt and all these guys with nice hair. Create a vision board around it, what you want, and visualize it. Sit down and visualize that hair growing. Picture it growing on the top of your head and shaping and shifting, and visualize it. And by the way, if it doesn't work, it's because you didn't visualize it enough. You didn't put enough emotion behind it. That's why it doesn't work for you. All right, so cool. Let's see. One other one. So you said, that's what I meant when I said people have the time and the money to do things that they really want to do. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yep, people will tell you that they don't have the time or money to work in their business, but then they take a week off from work and go hunting. Yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly what Ari said. So it's like people say, oh, I don't have time or money. Then they go do exactly what Ari said. Yeah, exactly. All right, so we are good to go for today. So we're doing the Facebook Lives every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So we will be back again tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So thanks everybody for showing up. And I will see you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Take care, everybody.